Alright, so I'm opening up and disassembling this 2018 MacBook Pro. This is a 15-inch model A1990. Alright, so this has liquid damage in it. So we're going to be using a pentalobe 1.2 or P5 screwdriver to remove all the screws from the bottom. You want to keep them in order because they can be different size, shape, and length. So I put them flat side down like this on my desk in the pattern I remove them. Alright, so just like that. Basically, you have this 2 here and then 4 here, so that's how I would keep the screws. Alright, if this video helps you out, make sure to like, subscribe, share my channel with others so that they can learn how to upgrade and repair their devices as well. If it helps you save a bunch of money, please consider contributing a little to the channel. Every little bit helps and allows me to continue making these videos for a living. Alright, so anyways, let's go ahead and get all these screws out. Okay, once you've done that, it helps to kind of spin this around. And then we're going to use a suction cup to pull the front side of this cover up where the 4 screws are. Get your fingernails or pry tool underneath there. Okay, once you get underneath there, you're going to work your way over to the side here. And then you can see we can pop the clip out. Usually I'll push with my thumb and pull with my fingers here to pop that out. Then we're going to go over to the other side and repeat the same process. Okay, just like that, and pop that out. All right, once you've popped those clips out, we're going to turn it this way. Grab this cover. You want to be careful not to cut your fingers on the inside of the metal part here, but grab that, and I'm going to push down here, keep my fingers over this to keep it from falling over, and we're just going to pull it down. It takes a lot of force. Just pull it down. There we go. We're going to go over to the other side, grab that, and pull this down. There we go. I'm going to lay it back. Open this up. You can see there is some water in here, so that's not good. We're going to have to dry this up and clean all the dust out. So let's go ahead and do that quickly. We don't want any liquid going into here. Usually when there's liquid damage, I ask customers to bring it right away because you never know if there's water inside and you just leave it sitting here and powered on, you can actually completely destroy your logic board. So let's go ahead now and switch over to a T5 or Torx 5, and we're going to peel off this piece of tape here. There are little rubber feet that kind of hold it in place. So we're just going to carefully, slowly peel this up. Just like that, and we'll set this aside. Next, we're going to lift this. Okay, we're going to flip this latch here. All right, grab that and pull that back. Then we're going to hold this cable out of the way and use the T5 or Torx 5 screwdriver to remove this screw. And this is the battery tab. So there's actually 2 components necessary for the battery to work. You need this small cable and this. Once you've undone the screw, you want to actually lift this tab up slightly so it's no longer making contact with the board below. You'll actually see now it's kind of staying lifted. Okay, and now what we're going to do, we're going to open this up. And then you want to press and hold the power button for about 15 seconds. This will drain any residual power and will make it a lot safer to work on. When it comes to liquid damage, depending on the liquid, a lot of times the liquid will already kind of drain everything and fry stuff. So this probably won't do anything if you have a lot of liquid in your computer, but it's always a good idea to do it anyways just to be safe. Okay, next thing, we're going to close this up because I do see some liquid here on this corner. I'm actually going to just dry that up real quick. That's right now, I don't see it on an electronic component, but this is like going to where the screen is. Okay, and we're gonna have to completely take it apart just to be safe because we want to make sure no liquid got into underneath the motherboard. Okay, so let's go ahead and zoom out here. Okay, so next thing what we're gonna do because we already drained the battery, we're gonna switch over to a T3 or Torx 3 screwdriver, and we're going to remove the 2 screws holding this plastic hinge cover in place. Okay, again, keep all the screws in order. All right, again, this is a T3 or Torx 3. Once you've done that, you can lift this up and you can pull this back. You can see there's even more water under here, actually. Let's zoom in. So there's kind of a lot of water in this piece here on this corner. So sometimes if you're lucky, the water doesn't actually make it all the way inside the computer. And if that's the case, then it'll dry up on its own. But you want to be careful moving around the computer too much when there's liquid inside because movement can cause the liquid to go all over the place. Okay, we're going to remove this plastic cover as well. Okay, just like this. All right, and then we're going to lift this cover up, pull that back, and this one looks dry, so it's probably okay. All right, I'm probably going to pull the screen out anyways, just so I can check completely all in this gap. All right, but normally, if liquid didn't spill on the screen, you're probably okay. All right, we're going to remove the 2 screws holding this. Actually, let me zoom in here for you guys to see better. So I'm going to zoom in. Oh, they're actually missing a screw in here. So I don't know if their IT, because they said it's a work computer, I don't know if their IT worked on this and lost a screw, or if Apple didn't put a screw, or what's going on. I did notice the little plastic tab for the battery connector ribbon cable was a little bit wrinkled, so that's a sign that somebody opened this before. All right, we're going to remove the 2 screws here, though there's only one, so for me, I'm just going to remove this 1 screw. Okay. Maybe somebody broke the screen on this before and they replaced it. Okay, we'll take this thing out, set that aside, and we're going to go ahead and pop this connector out, just like this, get underneath, and just pop it up. Then you can kind of pull this back. Okay. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to remove all these other T3 screws to get this board out. So we got 2 holding this, and then on the other side we got the same thing. Okay. All right, that. We're going to get the 2 on this side as well. All right, there we go. And I think that's all the T3 screws for the screen that we're going to need to remove for now. We're going to switch over to the T5 again. All right. And we're going to now remove the 4 screws over here holding this, oops, the 4 screws holding this board in place. Oh, I need to zoom out a little. There you go. Okay, remove those screws. Actually have another customer coming soon, so I don't know, they told me 12:30, but it looks like they might have changed their schedule because they haven't messaged. Oh, wait, have they? Okay, no, that's an old message. Okay, so we got those 4 out. We're going to remove this one also for the wireless antennas. There we go. All right, now that we got those out, let's actually disconnect the wireless antennas. I go underneath with my fingernail. You can use a plastic pry tool or some tweezers. Just get underneath and lift from the tail, just like that. And they all got disconnected. Okay, we're now going to switch over to a P2 or Pentalobe 0.8. And we're going to remove all the screws holding the antennas in place. Okay, so just remove all these. This is the same same size screwdriver that they use for the iPhone. Okay. Okay. All right, I'm gonna go to the other side. And we'll remove this. Okay. Last one. Okay, now that we got all those screws out, let's actually pull the wireless antennas out. So to get the wireless antennas out, you go under here. So the wireless antennas have this little grid for the airflow for the fans. We're going to use that to get underneath and pull them up. Okay, and then you can actually lift. It actually has some clips that hold it down here, so you do have to kind of pull a little bit hard. And then we're going to wiggle this out. Okay, you can see the wireless antennas. Okay, that looks dry, so we should be okay with that. Okay, there's some dirt on it, so anyways, we'll set that aside. Take a look at the cables here. This looks, oh, there's water in here. That's not good. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see that. There's water trapped under here. Yeah, so once I pat it, it kind of dries up better. So I'm definitely going to have to take this out, and hopefully the screen is going to survive. Because sometimes when water gets in here, it just fries itself. Okay, so clean that up. It's a little dusty. Okay, next thing we're going to do, we're going to remove the screen completely. So, man, sorry for my voice, my throat's all screwed up. We're going to get a T8 or Torx 8 screwdriver. Let's zoom out here. Okay. Oh, there's a lot of dirt, dust and gross stuff in here. I'm going to use a toothbrush to clean it. Hopefully it works okay still. It did power up when I opened the screen, which is actually kind of dangerous because there's water inside. I feel that's a really bad design by Apple, but they do what they want. I don't know. Anyways, we're going to open this up all the way. I'm going to rest the keyboard side down on the desk. Let's zoom out a bit more. Okay, so here you can see the hinges. Oops, you don't need to see that much. And we're going to now undo the screws here. Okay, 6 screws. Let's see. Oh, I'm getting another. Why am I getting so many messages randomly all of a sudden? Okay. All right, then we'll get the 3 on this side as well. All right. And the last one here. There we go. Once we got all of that out, what we're going to do, we're going to let the screen actually fall completely to 90 degrees. So let it hang. You'll see the hinges actually pop up, and then from there you can lift the screen out. So here you go. We have the screen, and we can have access to this a little bit better. So now we can dry it out. I'm going to move this over. Zoom in a little bit here. Okay, and let's go ahead now and just dry this completely here. Hopefully no liquid seep through the cracks here and damage the thing. Okay, there's some like dust stuck there. Let's clean that off. Okay, this side too. You can see that line of dust stuck on there, kind of gross. There we go. All right, make sure there's no liquid trapped here. Okay, we're going to set the screen aside now. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and continue taking the entire motherboard out of here. It is really dusty, but because there might be water in here, I'm going to actually take this out before I actually blow all the dust out. Okay, so now we're done with the T8 or Torx 8. We're going to switch back over to the T3 or Torx 3. Okay, and we're going to remove all these little connectors. So let me zoom in. I'm going to have to move stuff out of the way so I can show this better. Okay, again, you want to keep all this stuff in order. There's a lot of components, so hopefully you're able to keep track of everything. Okay. right? We're going to pop this connector up. Just like that. There's a connector underneath. This is the Touch ID. The one we just disconnected is actually the audio jack. All right. We're going to remove these two as well. These are for the USB-C ports. Okay, remove those two. And then we're going to flip this connector up. Oh, so sometimes this piece gets permanently stuck to this and sometimes it pops out. So if it pops out, just set that aside. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and pop this connector out just like that and move it out of the way. All right. Then I think most of these are T5 except for the two right here in the center. Sorry, oh, you can't even see both at the same time. Well, okay, let's zoom out. There you go. So this one here and here, those two screws are T5. So we can actually remove those as well. Or sorry, T3. Torx 3. So we're going to remove those two as well. All right. Then we're going to remove the two screws holding this plate. This is for the touchpad or trackpad, whatever you want to call it. Okay, those two. And we're going to move this plate. Just lift that up. And we'll take that out. Then we're going to go ahead and lift this up. This is, again, the touchpad or trackpad connector. Now that we took some of the screws out from the motherboard, you can see actually the motherboard slightly moves as well. So just be careful popping that up. All right, we're not going to peel the trackpad cable away because it can cause bubbles in the battery. So for now, because we don't need to take it out, we're going to leave that in place. We're going to also disconnect this cable here, which I believe is for the keyboard. Okay. All right, we're going to continue working our way over. And then we have all the connectors over here. So let me move some stuff out of the way to show this. There we go. I'm going to remove this one as well. This is for the touch bar. We're going to flip this metal latch up out of the way, or the cover. And it has a little hook that actually goes in. There's a little hook on the side here that it hooks over. Okay, let's set that aside. I'm going to remove these two screws for the other USB-C ports. Okay, and then we're going to move this metal plate as well. And then we're going to pop this out, just like that. All right, move that connector out of the way. You want to be careful not to bend these things too much, because if you keep bending them back and forth, it will break the internal wire connections. Right, we're going to pop this connector out as well. This is for the touch bar. Right, hopefully there's no liquid in here or anything that damaged it. It looks okay. All right, we've got another connector down here, also for the touch bar. Move that as well. All right, take that metal plate out and pop that connector up just like the rest. Okay. We also have the microphone connector here, so you're going to have to peel this up slightly. Once you peel that plastic adhesive back, we're going to flip this latch up. All right. Once you flip that up, we're going to grab that cable and kind of just wiggle and pull it, and there you go. There's so much dust in there. I'm surprised it didn't have any issues with heat, or maybe it did and they just ignored it. Anyways, you got the speaker connector here, so we're going to remove this. There's some adhesive holding it, so what I do is I kind of pry it up slightly a little bit first, work my way as close to the connector as possible, and then we pop it up from the back of the connector, just like that. All right. You can actually use a little plastic thin pry tool if you don't have fingernails. You just get under the edge like this. The connector has a little groove, and then you can kind of just twist this to pry it out. Okay, but for me it works easier with fingernails, and that's why I do it. We're going to do the same thing with this one. Okay, get underneath there and then pop that out. Okay, just like that. And we'll move that out of the way. Okay. Next thing, I think, oh, we actually still need the T8 screwdriver, my bad. Let's go ahead and get that back. There's a T8 screw on each side holding the heatsink down. So we're going to remove that. Okay, that one, and then also this one over here. Then we're going to switch back over to the T5 and remove all the motherboard screws. Let's zoom out here. Okay, so we're going to remove this screw here. Okay, this screw down here. This screw over here. The other one we already removed with the wireless antennas. And then we got 3 over here. So we're going to get that one. This one. And then this one over here. Alright. Again, hopefully you guys are keeping track of all your screws. And I think that's everything. Let's take one more look. Make sure we disconnected all the cables. Looks like we did. Okay, so now, now we're going to be lifting out the motherboard. So can be a little tricky. You just got to work your way, find a way to the edge. Oh, let's also peel up the adhesive here, of course. Okay, so it looks like if they worked on it before, it was just the screen, because none of this stuff has been peeled up or anything. Okay, let's peel up this side. I kind of like the adhesive to stay attached to the fan, not to the rubber piece. There we go. Now what we're going to do, I'm going to get underneath here, kind of work my way, wiggling it up, make sure all these connectors are no longer grabbing onto the board, so you kind of have to pull them away as you're lifting. Alright, that's very important because the cables like to get caught on it again. So be very careful that nothing is getting caught and that all the cables end up going underneath. Okay, just like this. Then we're going to slide it over slightly that way and lift it out. Wow, that's so much dust. Look at that. Okay, so I think they might be lucky. I don't really see liquid that got in there, but other than having to clean up all this dust, it looks like all the liquid was in this one corner over here and then in the screen. So looks like we might be okay. I'm going to clean all this dust up, okay, and I'll be back. So I got to clean the board off and I'll clean this out. Okay, so I'll see you guys in a bit. Oh, also, if you want to redo the heatsink, they have the screws under here. I think they're T5s, but use what fits properly. Let's see. Yeah, those are T5. And also, if you need to replace the screen cable, it's here. Oh, shoot. It looks like, is that burnt? That's not good. Okay, if you see this cable here on the motherboard, that's burnt right there. So this cable is probably going to need to be replaced, and the screen might also need to be replaced. Let me see if their screen also looks like that. I didn't double check that. So yeah, there's some liquid damage that got in this piece. Oh no, it did. It looks like it did get burned there. As you can see, it was turning on, but it was flickering a lot. So we'll see. I'm going to try and clean the liquid here. Sometimes if you're lucky and you just clear out the corrosion or liquid burnt stuff, it might be enough to get it to work somewhat better. But likely we're going to have to replace the screen and that cable. Okay. Okay, let's see if you can see any difference here. You can see it looks better. You don't have that green stuff on it or the white powdery, but it is still a little bit burnt up there. So we'll find out. Okay, we'll try and clean this. Let's see if we clean this side. The black stuff kind of went away. Interesting. Was it just soot? I don't know what burned though. It's really strange. They said the screen was flickering and doing some other stuff. So we'll see. We'll find out. All right, so here you can see. Come on, focus on there. There you go. It looks Looks a lot better. Think it might have survived. I don't know. I don't know what that black stuff was in there, but usually when it's black it melted something, but I'm looking at it now and I don't see anything melted in there, so hopefully we're okay. Let me double check the screen again. I mean, the only thing I can see is a little bit here. It's like still like blackish. Come on, focus on that. But other than that, I think hopefully it will be okay. Okay, so I'm gonna now dry up the entire thing. Okay, we'll dry up all of this, or not dry up, but clean all the dust out. And if there's liquid, I'll blow it out with the air blower. And yeah, I'll be back. See you guys in a bit. All right, so I'm back. Okay, so here you can see it's much, much cleaner. Okay, hopefully it's focusing where it should. All right, that's much cleaner as well. Okay, all the dust is cleaned up. So if anything, well, I mean, it did have some liquid damage in the screen cable and stuff, so definitely did need to be taken apart and cleaned up. Hopefully the screen will work okay. I know there are bright spots on it, but yeah, here you can see the fans are all clean now. All these edges in the gaps next to the speakers, they were like clogged with a bunch of dust. They're all good now. All right, so let's go ahead and put the motherboard back in. This can be a little bit tricky. Kind of have to go at an angle. All right, so hold that. You want to make sure all these cables end up back on top. There are, again, 2 cables over here, so you want to be careful. We can kind of slide it underneath like this. Okay, and then as you're slowly lowering it down, you do want to make sure to get all these cables out of the way. Okay, make sure the touchpad cable is out of the way, keyboard cable. Okay, slowly, carefully lowering it down, and make sure both these cables good. All right, make sure the battery cable over here is also out of the way. Okay, slowly lowering, make sure the speaker ends up back on top. All right, the microphone cable, you're probably gonna have to push it through. Okay, push that through, kind of hold it out. All right, the speaker cable's kind of getting in the way again. And let's go ahead and get this touch bar cable back out. See, they keep wanting to go underneath. This is the annoying part. Okay, make sure the charge port connector, and then that. And I think that's everything. Make sure everything looks good. Okay, and then reassembling this, it actually helps to blew all the dust out of the keyboard as well. So it helps to reconnect all the connectors first. Okay, let's zoom in and let's do that. So we'll get this connected, hold this out of the way, line that up. It's a little tricky. Okay, Touch ID connector. Come on. Stay still. Okay, there we go. Get that in. Click that in. You should actually feel it click. All right, headphone jack, audio jack, whatever you want to call that, 3.5mm jack. Click that in. All right, charge ports. This can be a little bit tricky. Okay, make sure to get it lined up and click that in. All right, let's actually start putting in all the T3 or Torx 3 screws here. Okay. All right, look at this. Line it up, get that screw in, get the second one. And get that in, tighten that down, good. Good. And then we'll tighten this one down. Good. All right, get this one back in. Oh, don't forget the, well, we'll do this one after because it needs the T8 or Torx 8 screw there. Let's go ahead and get this speaker cable back in. Just line it back up. Okay. And click it down. You can push down the adhesive as well. Work our way over. Keyboard connector. Good. Trackpad connector. Good. Okay. Let's get the little bracket. Okay. And I'm loosely fitting the screw first, so that way I can make sure I get both lined up right. All right, if you haven't noticed, and then we'll go ahead and tighten them both down. Okay, let's continue going over. We're gonna work our way over here to the other speaker. Same thing, line it up, click it down, push down the adhesive. Okay, touch bar connector here, click that. Get the metal plate. Hold that in place, and we'll get that down. Second one. All right. Let's line this up a little bit better. There we go. And go ahead and tighten that down. All right. Microphone connector up here. Actually move some stuff a little bit. Okay, make sure the latch is up. Grab that cable. Kind of have to pull it back slightly. Get that in and then slide it up. You'll actually always see a little bit of the gold pins showing. That's normal. Slide your finger over and then put that plastic tab back on top. If you want, you can kind of press it down, make sure it gets taped in place. You can even add double stick adhesive if you really want it to stick down, but it doesn't need to. All right, we got the other charge port connectors here. Okay, so we'll flip this over. Make sure that clicks in, good. Okay, and then the last touch bar connector here. Make sure it clicks in flat. Good, all right, let's get these back in. There's no particular order you need to do this stuff in, except for the battery. You want to make sure that the battery is the first thing disconnected and the last thing reconnected. Because if you plug the battery in and you're working on stuff, there's a chance that very good chance that you'll damage the motherboard or other components, all right? Okay, let's get this one back in. So this one kind of hooks in again. So you hook this over first. Sorry, I know my hand's getting in the way. Let's see if I can hold it differently. So hook that in like that. Then, once it's hooked in, you can let this flop over. Okay. Line that up and get that screw in place. There we go. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and put the two motherboard screws in, okay? So we had the two T3 or Torx 3 screws, one here. Okay, and the other one over here. Okay, there we go. Okay, so next thing we're going to do, we're going to zoom out. And let's start putting back in other screws. So, actually that's way too much. That's probably good enough. All right, I'm going to switch over to the T8 or Torx 8. we'll put back these 2 screws. Okay. Just like that. Let's go back to the T3 or Torx 3 and put the last little connector cover back in place. Okay. Second one. Oh, I might have a customer outside waiting. I might have to help them or get their computer real quick. But let's go ahead and line this up. Sometimes it's a little tricky to line this stuff up right. But do the best you can. There we go. All right, switch over back to the T5 or Torx 5. Let me double check if my customer's outside real quick. Okay, I think I have some time still. All right, so let's go ahead and put back all the T5 or Torx 5 motherboard screws. This one here. This one down here. This one here. Okay. Over here. Again, we're going to skip this over because that's for the wireless antennas. Okay, I'll put this one. This one here. All right, and then we got the last one here. All right, next we're going to get the screen back in. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to switch back over to the T8 or Torx 8 screwdriver. I'm going to flip this back over. Okay, let's see if I can, there we go. Screen here. Oh, I think they did replace the Apple or the screen. That's why they have that there. Anyways, you have the hinges facing up. You want to get underneath, hold the cable out of the way, slowly drop the screen into place. Okay. All right, drop the cables down. All right, then hold the screen up, and we're going to now get the screws for those in place. Okay, so I'm going to put one here, and usually what I do is I put some thread locker after to make sure it doesn't move around, because sometimes these screws come loose and then that can cause damage to the hinges. So now we're going to slowly, carefully close the screen. I'm just going to rest it like this and slowly, very slowly close this down, just in case it gets caught on anything. Okay. I'm going to move this cable out of the way, get that under. All right, now that we got that, let's zoom in a bit. Okay, now that we got that, we're going to undo the screw slightly. And then we're going to make sure all the edges line up properly. Okay, this was a little bit uneven. All right, that was a little bit uneven. So you kind of want this to be flush here. Okay, there we go, and looks good. All right, so now we can go ahead and tighten these down. And this will just be temporary because we're going to add, as I said, I'm going to add the thread locker. And I just put a little bit of this stuff. Some people ask, like, okay, let me zoom in. So some people are telling me, like, you know, that stuff's permanent, but I've never had an issue where I can't remove it. So let's go ahead and get this in. I think it's more permanent on like larger bolts, but on these small ones, it doesn't really hold too strong. All right, so just a tiny bit, not even a drop, just like touch a little bit of the stuff to it, and then get the screw in. Just like that. Get the other screw. Same thing, we just want a tiny bit. Okay. All right, let's take this screw out and do the same thing. Okay, there we go. Gonna go to the other side here and do the same thing. Again, just a tiny bit. Get that screw in. Other one. Just a tiny bit. Go, and then the last one here. There we go, and we'll tighten that in. Okay, so we're done. We got all the hinge screws back in. I'm going to rotate this back over. What we're going to do now, we're going to switch back over to the T3 or Torx 3. We don't need the T8 anymore. And we're going to first get these spring-loaded things back in. Okay, so let's get one of these. These screws are pretty long compared to all the other ones. I'm going to rotate this over and push that in. You should be able to see the spring through this little hole down there. Okay, that's how you know you're doing it right. And we'll get this screw in, keep holding it in place. Okay, there we go. Second screw. And get that in. Go. Okay, next we're going to do this side. Same exact thing. Okay, flip this over and hold that in place. Okay, I think the customer just arrived. Alright, get that. Second screw. And we'll get that in place as well. I want to make sure it goes in straight, so I'm kind of undoing the screw. We'll tighten that down. Good. Alright, next thing we're going to do, we're going to get the wireless antennas back in. Let's zoom out here a bit so you guys can kind of see. Gotta make sure the customer's not messaging me. Okay, then it helps to kind of straighten this stuff out a little bit. So kind of want to straighten it. Uh-oh, customer's calling. All right, give me a second and I'll be back. All right, sorry about that, I'm back. Okay, so we're gonna have to thread the wires through. There's a little hole in this metal piece here. I'm gonna thread it through there. Sometimes also helps to kind of bend these, the tips slightly upwards. Okay, and you'll see why in a bit. But all right, so let's go ahead and try and get these through. You also probably want to use a tweezer or some tweezers or something to help with this. But you can see we're getting the wire to come through here. Again, it helps to kind of have some tweezers so you can kind of just pull it up. You can just use like a little small tool. So if you don't have tweezers, you can kind of just use something to help guide it. So if you did the thing that I was mentioning earlier to kind of curve, so here you can see I can get the wires to come out this way, and then as long as you can kind of get underneath, you can actually lift them up and get them to go over to where you want it to. Same thing with this little screw thing. Okay, there we go. All right, so next thing we're going to do, of course you want to make sure this cable ends up on top. Okay, we're going to line this up, line up these edges. Once you do that, hold it and then push the center down. Then you want to test by seeing if you lift it. You can see the antenna in the center stays in place. That's how you know that it's seated properly. Okay, we're going to use the pentalobe. Let's see, pentalobe, sorry, 0.8 or P2. Okay, I'm mixing things around. Okay, P2, pentalobe 0.8. We're going to get all these screws back in. So the best way to do this is you hold this, squeeze it together, and then you get this one outer screw in first. Then we'll take the other end. Okay, same thing, hold it in place, and then get that screw in. Once you've done that, you can just get them all in at the same time, but we're going to do the same thing over here. Okay, hold that in place, get that in. Good. Second screw all the way on the opposite side. Hold that in place, and we'll get that screw in. There we go. All right, now we're going to just get all the screws for the wireless antennas back in. Okay. Pretty simple and straightforward. Okay, just like this. Hopefully the screen is going to be okay after this. Alright, there's a lot of these little tiny screws. Technically all these screws aren't needed, so if you lost one, you'll be alright, but try and get them all back in if you can. Alright. Okay, go over to the other side and get all those screws in. Sorry, I probably should have zoomed in for you guys a little bit. Go. Right, only 2 to go. Last one. Alright, there we go. We're done with the P2 or Pentalobe 0.8. Switch back to the T3 or Torx 3. I'm going to get these little plastic covers back on. Excuse me, goes at an angle. That screw. I'm going to loosely fit this one. Okay, second screw. There we go, tighten that down, tighten that down. I'm going to go to the other side, do the same thing. Alright, second one, and we'll tighten that in. Perfect, tighten this one in. There we go. Alright, let's go ahead and get this back into place. So we can actually put these 4 T5 or Torx 5 screws in first. Alright, as well as the wireless antenna one, of course. I'm going to loosely fit it first to make sure everything lines up. Alright, fourth one. Then we're going to get the wireless antenna one as well. We're almost there. Okay. There we go. And let's go ahead and tighten the other 4 screws. Good. All right. Let's go ahead and switch back to the T3 or Torx 3. We're going to make sure this cable gets reconnected. Usually you have to kind of pull it back this way. And then click that in. Good. All right, take this metal plate. the screw. Tighten that. Good. Line this up. And we'll tighten that in. Good. All right. Then we'll put this back. Again, it's missing one screw. I wonder if I have a screw that I can replace that with. No, I don't think so. Yeah, I don't. Those are special. Okay, so we'll put this screw back in. There we go. All right, now we just got to reconnect the battery, power it up, and make sure everything's good. So let's switch back to the T5 or Torx 5. All right, make sure that when this goes down, that it's centered between the two golden contact points. Tighten that into place. Good. Take the battery connector here. Make sure the latch is up. Get this lined up. It's going to be difficult to show this. I'm going to see if I can tilt it this way if it helps. Okay, like that. And slide that in. Same thing like the microphone one. A little bit of the gold contacts will stick out. That's normal. Slide the latch over and then stick that down. Good. All right, we're going to put this piece back on top. The way I line it up is I put it this way, and you can see where the adhesive used to be. Okay, and then we'll just flip it over and stick it down like that. Okay, so for testing, we actually don't need to put the bottom cover back on, but if you want, you can snap it on. I actually have to clean it off real quick because it's still dusty. So let me do that and I'll be back. You can see how dusty it is in here. Okay, see you guys in a bit. All right, so I'm back. I actually had to clean it out with water because there was like some stuff, residue that was stuck there. So here you can see it's a lot cleaner, right? There's some marks here that's kind of won't go away completely, but there you go. For testing, we're just gonna snap it on. We're not gonna slide it in place yet. Okay, let's flip it over. And let's power it up and see what we got. Okay, to power it on, you actually do have to plug it in. So let me actually get my charger plugged in real quick. Okay. Why is it all tangled on everything? Give me that, please. Okay. All right, let's plug this in and see what we got. So right now, if you try and turn it on, nothing will happen. You do have to plug it in, and then you should start to feel the trackpad clicking. So there you go, trackpad's clicking. Didn't even have to touch the power button, and it should be powering itself up. I don't know if you can hear it. There you go. And we should be good to go. So yeah, let's go ahead and put the bottom cover back on properly. The screen is working, but it is dim. And there is some light marks at the bottom. Hopefully that will eventually go away. I think you can see that. All right, hopefully it'll eventually go away. But as you can see, it has that light over there. But other than that, it looks like it's okay. So yeah, hopefully cleaning that up will prevent any future damage. Worst case, they might have to replace the screen in the future, but maybe in a month or so. Sometimes a couple weeks, that liquid should clear up, unless it permanently damaged like the backlight or something. Okay, so let's zoom out. We're gonna put this connector back in properly. Okay, oh, one other thing you do want to check, make sure the battery's working okay. So we'll unplug it. Sometimes when people plug it, reconnect the battery, it's not reconnected properly. So it looks like it's good. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and put the cover back on, right? So because we just snapped it down, this part back here is actually open. So we're going to actually pull this back out, just like that. And what you want to do, you have to slide it in at an angle like this, but you start slightly back here. So you line up the side edges. I know it's not focusing right, but there you go. And then while you're holding down this area, the reason you do that is because these metal hooks, they hook into the fan vent area. Okay, so you go like that. Okay, line it up. Make sure it's lined up. Okay. And then while holding that down, slide it in. Same thing with this side. Okay, make sure it's lined up and slide that in. Okay, looks good. Slide this up all the way. Slide this up all the way. If it's a little bit off center, kind of want to try and adjust it over. I can use these feet to do that sometimes. If you can't, you want to take the cover back off and then do it again. All right, so there you go. Double check. The grooves along the side look good. Okay, now it doesn't pop up anymore, and then you can click everything back into place. All right, now we just got to get all the screws back in, and that's pretty much all there is to it. Hopefully this video helped you guys out. If it did, again, please make sure to like, subscribe, share my channel with others so that they can learn how to upgrade and repair their devices as well. If it helps you save a bunch of money, please consider contributing a little to the channel. Every little bit helps and allows me to continue making these videos for a living. Other than that, that's all there is to it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. All right. Of course, you're welcome to stay as I get all these screws back in. We'll power it up one more time just to be safe, to make sure everything's good. And then that's pretty much it. All right. Last one here. And there we go. All right. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. All right. Let's drop this. Bye. Oh, I forgot to show how to put back the wireless antennas. You just line them up. Okay, you know it's lined up because if you try and move it around, it stays, and then just push it down. All right, just like that. Line it up, make sure it stays in place. Oh, that one's not going. All right, and then click it down. Do that for all three. Okay, there we go. All right, and then their screen was actually doing some weird stuff, so we're actually going to disconnect that screen. We did disconnect the battery in advance and held the power button. Again, that's very important. Okay, and we're going to now switch over to the T3 or Torx 3. I just used the T5 to take the battery out earlier. All right, maybe I should put my camera in the mount right now. It's hard to work on this like that, but all right. Okay, so I'll take that screw out. Alright, and we'll take this screw out. And basically we just want to disconnect the screen from the board, and then we're going to use an external monitor with it. Okay, we'll pop this out. Okay, it might help to actually also pop this out. That way we can actually just get the whole cable up. Okay, come here. There we go. And then we can just kind of leave this cable out. All right, so anyways, I'm going to go move over to an external monitor, reconnect the battery. You already saw that. And I'll see you guys in a bit. All right, so I powered it up. The screen is disconnected. You can hear the trackpad clicking. Hopefully it's starting up. I did a PRAM reset on it, so we'll see. There you go. Starting up. You can see the screen. There's the Apple. Okay, I have to hide it in case it's showing the user account. So, oh, and there you go. It started up. So, yeah, let me see. I'll maybe bring a monitor out for them to see. And yep, it looks like it's working.